Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I'm here with Joe, and this is a quicker retrospective. We're just talking about one issue from, I think, 1984 or 85.
80, I think it's January 85.
85, okay. This is Marvel Fanfare. And before we get to the specific issue, Marvel Fanfare had some pretty awesome, issues in it. I mean, have they ever done I mean, I should know this, but have they ever done a trade or a hardcover of just the Marvel Fanfare issues, collected in kind of a prestige format?
I don't think so. They seem to break them up into whatever grouping a story would fit into. Very similar to how DC breaks up their anthology books, so Adventure Comics and Action Comics into here's a Aquaman collection of all his shorts from Adventure Comics and things like that.
There were some amazing creators, though, over the years. You had, I think, Chris Claremont did a few stories for it. You had, I don't know, you had a ton of really big names, and you had good. I mean, there were some, if not powerful, crazy stories. There was that one with Kazar and Spider-Man early on. That was, that was a lot of fun. Anyway, there's some good stuff. But we're talking about Marvel Fanfare 18, which is relevant given Falcon Winter Soldier and all things Captain America. But tell me, what's your where do we begin with the cover? This Frank Miller cover.
Oh yeah, this is it's a great. I think it's a great Frank Miller cover, if a bit over the top, but there's it's clearly fire behind Captain America, who is got a tear in his eye, holding a burned, smoldering flag, and he's pointing at you, buddy. You did this.
Captain America looks like he's ready to do some murder in this cover.
Yeah, it's an intense it's an intense cover. Undercut with the little box in the corner.
Yeah. No, the little cover box is, with the little waving. Why was this is Al Milgrom?
Yeah.
Why was he doing this? Was it ever clear why he was putting a cartoonish insert of himself?
He was the editor, so he just did what he wanted, I think.
I mean, he had the first issue for many or all of the comics was like a little 9-panel cartoon of him kind of having shenanigans going on in Marvel. It is a moment of levity before you get to what is a pretty intense issue.
A pretty intense one and done Cap story that I think, in terms of one and done Cap stories, that is just incredible. But I'll go more in depth later on. But one of the important things to keep in mind here is this is a pseudo reunion of the Roger Stern, John Byrne run. Because this is Roger Stern, and the inker, Joe Rubinstein, from that run is the inker here.
Yeah.
So we got two of the three major players back on this run, and I don't think anyone would be disappointed that instead of John Byrne, we have mid-80s Frank Miller.
Yeah, mid-80s Frank Miller.
Yeah, this is it looks incredible.
It does. It is, and I kind of got the feeling. In fact, I thought I heard a story that they were trying to reunite Stern and Byrne and Rubinstein. And Byrne, this be 85, but I mean, it was not. They couldn't do it. So, like you said, Frank Miller comes in. Frank Miller as a substitute, nobody's going to be unhappy with.
Yeah.
And you're right. This comic is one of the. I'm trying to think of all the Marvel Fanfare comics. This was probably one of the most powerful.
Oh yeah, this whole story, it starts with a bang. I mean, right off the bat, you got Cap, in this position with a burning city behind him and showing people starting fires with gasoline.
Yeah. So on the surface, this is a comic of basically, well, I mean, they say Captain America knows despair. He's seen humanity at its best. He's seen it at its worst. And this is, we see this kind of horrific arson and people trapped in a burning building, falling to their death. You know, this kid is saved at the last second by Cap. It's a, you get right in, and there's some awesome panels of Cap lifting a girder up that's on fire away from firefighters and people, and then also helping kind of hose the place down, carry people out. It's a pretty cool moment of Captain America doing, not fighting a supervillain, but fighting a more human problem.
Yeah, and the reveal of Cap in that double page spread where he's just like in the area, and he does the thing where he opens his jacket and he's got the Cap suit under. It's like, oh my god, it's so good.
It's great. No, this double page spread has this 3 panels of Cap is I'm not sure exactly what he's doing. He's like, oh no, he's drawing. That's right. Yeah, he's at his drawing table. He's drawing away, and he hears something, and then we get him opening up the jacket, and the face is in shadow, which is just a really cool drawn moment. And then he's running across the rooftops while this reporter is kind of narrating this fire going on. There's a lot of amazing single panel work in this.
Oh yeah, no, and there's God, it's. He saves the kid. You have to wait till like the page turn, to see if he saved the kid or not. And then, then he's holding up the girder that's on fire. He's helping the firemen, and then, and this is important to keep in mind for later. We see that he couldn't save everyone. There is someone being taken away.
Yeah,
and it's not as personal yet. But we get there.
Yeah, we do.
This sets up the stakes that what's happening here is lethal.
Yeah, there's consequences. We get this kind of what feels like a more maybe traditional Cap moment of they're saying, hey, they're trying to extort the city basically, and what kind of country do we live in? And we get a kind of Captain America speech of like, don't blame the nation for this. We may not be perfect, but that it's you get kind of a very standard Cap piece, and then you move to Captain America starting to shake people down.
And it's great. It's intense. It is. You get the nice tall panel of a Cap running, and then him just beating the crap out of people. Holding a guy by his ankle over a roof, just like it's just really intense. Fighting, blocking, multiple guns with his shield. Like
it is, you get multiple pages of him, shaking people down, charging into battle, bursting through this wall. People come at him with guns and knives and everything else, and Cap this is a more serious Cap. This isn't Cap because Cap is, as you say, he's knocking the living shit out of people.
Yes.
He grabs this maybe unfortunately named Injun Joe character, and then is like basically breaking his hand to cough up information.
And we see him like squirming. There's lots of dynamic. Cap is like leaping a lot in this. We see him being very agile.
Yeah,
and then we switch to this family.
Mm-hmm.
Rose and Hal Brady.
Yeah.
And, seeing this, very blue collar, family that, Cap is, keeping an eye on.
Yeah. And by this point in the comic, you're worried why we're introducing those people.
Oh yeah. At this point, you're like, oh, they're all not going to make it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get and so I think that's paced well because something's bad is going to happen to this family that's kind of randomly thrown in here, or not randomly, but I mean it something bad's coming. And we get to the kind of this radicalization that's taken place among people, and it's really all about, America's been taken away from us, the people who made the country in the first place. We sweat and we slave. We're gonna, we're gonna burn some more things down.
And there's a cop with them.
And there's cop, yeah.
These are like small business owners. These are like people who are a part of the community who have felt abandoned by their country.
Right.
Something completely unrelatable to life today.
Yeah, no, nobody has that feeling today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a cop there. They basically kind of then state they're going to go burn down a nursing home.
Yep.
And the cop is like, I don't know, too much for me, but they basically force him by gunpoint to go along. And so that rolls right into the next fire that has been set in this nursing home. And, Cap, again, charging in, tries to save these people, grabs these two, brings this woman out, and tries to bring her back to life. Basically, Cap himself is trying, but no luck, and she dies.
Yeah, and this is a very intense, rapid-paced page, because there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are like 15 panels on this page.
Yeah, it's designed in such a way that the action flows very quickly. Minimal use of words, something that some current writers might take a lesson from, but and a lot just told through the story. You see the horror on Captain America's face when he's told we lost her, and then you see him kind of covering up the body, and then the fists. You get Captain America's got the clenched fists and says, "Someone set that fire. Someone will pay." Now, we've gone through several pages of Captain America beating the living hell out of somebody, so you do kind of get the feeling Captain America might just murder some people tonight.
Yeah, and then the next page. This is another win. All the pages in this are winners. Like this is one of those comics that you would be proud to own any of these pages.
Absolutely.
Because they are all incredible. And this page is Cap finds the cop, and they do a great job of having him partially silhouetted to make it very clear to the reader that he means business. Yeah. And that cop tries to drive away, and he throws that shield, and the last panel is just like Crash.
All done in broken glass.
Yeah, it is.
Great.
Oh my God.
We see the next page. What is happening? Captain America's shield is embedded in the dash, or the roof and the front of that car, and the car's just smashed into a light. But I mean, Cap destroyed that car.
Oh yeah. And oh God. And yeah, very. Oh my God, he's interrogating the cop there, and gets the information, the address of the leader, and then he rushes in, and the way they do this, again, it's just the layout work.
The point of view of the fist, or the foot kicking the door down. It's
that POV, and right before that in the panel to show how fast Cap is going, he is larger than the panel he's in.
Yeah, he's bursting out of the panel. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then flipping the POV again to show, Cap pointing and making that declaration to Hal.
Yeah.
And then just like no waiting. He just like snaps his wrist, basically, like just real quick, like right in that next panel. He is not in the mood.
No, and it's a hell of a thing. Like he then, in our next page, he basically takes his shield and just bashes a guy right in the face through the dinner table, screaming, what about their lives? And you see, this is an interesting sequence, because the kid basically tries to fend off Captain America with a broom, and he's like, let go of my papa. And Cap sees this, and what you're kind of expecting is that, oh, wait a minute, I've gone too far. There's a kid present. But that's not what happens. Instead, Captain America is like, it's them, the loving couple, the kids. You have all this, and you still did what you did. It seems to make him angrier that he has a family.
Yeah, as his wife is like crying and the son's crying, and she's like holding the son back, being like, Jonathan, don't. That's Captain America. He's an Avenger. But then going like, Mister Captain, like, why? My Hal's a good man.
Yeah.
It's this like it is. Oh, like if you're reading this by yourself and you're not like starting to like get emotional at this point in this like it's incredibly intense comic.
Sure. No, absolutely. It's very, very intense. It's Captain America, who means business. It's not the figurehead Captain America that most of us usually see. I mean, he drags this guy back to the Knights of Brooklyn, where kind of they were doing their planning. Chucks the guy in for whatever reason. The guy thinks a good decision at this point, after being having the shit beat out of him by Captain America. The best plan is to start to light a flag on fire. A genius move. And Captain America just punches him right in the face.
Yeah, and I mean he's like going all in it. Like, you tax us to death to take care of those cheaters. This isn't even my country anymore. Like, this is really intense stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, and then like he lights the flag on fire, and then there's that whole it's the No Borders panel. It's just the two figures of Cap punching Hal.
Yeah.
And then the cop comes back and is putting the damper on everything. Like it's over, but it's not over, because Hal takes it that next step. I am thinking of them. No boy of mine will ever have a father who's a jailbird.
And takes his lighter and lights the gasoline on fire, burning himself alive and trapping them in this burning room. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. And then trapped, Captain America then takes his shield and breaks it through a brick wall. Now, we've seen Captain America take the shield and smash through giant Nazi robots and all kinds of stuff. So we it's not necessarily a surprise that the shield can get through a brick wall. But the way this is drawn, with this first top panel with the fire coming in and the smoke and people starting to draw a little bit in silhouette and the muted colors, and then we get this scene of Captain America kind of struggling and then shoving this shield through the brick wall. It's just the visuals of all of this look incredible.
Yeah, and before that, it's also important, again, to show how intense this scene is. The cop says, "Burning's no way to die." He stutters a bit. I have enough bullets for all of us.
Yeah, the cop is ready to help everybody commit suicide to avoid burning to death.
Yeah. And that's when Cap screams, no one else will die from this madness, and breaks down a brick wall.
Yes, exactly.
With that shield to get everybody out. And even then, he runs back into the building to save the American flag.
Yeah, no, which in a less capable writer, this would have been incredibly cheesy.
Yeah,
but you go through this intensity of everything, and so you get this scene of second after second ticks by, and then when it seems impossible that anyone could stay alive in the raging inferno, we see through the flames Captain America comes charging out with the American flag. And it gives a quick speech here. This belongs to all of us. It's not for free. It's not for free. It doesn't come easy. It's America. America doesn't hand you things on a silver platter. Sometimes all she offers is hope.
Yeah, leading to that last bit. And now I have to think of some way to bring hope to Mrs. Brady and her boys. If any of you still pray for them. And then that's it. That's the story.
It's a crazy story. Very intense.
Yeah, it is. This is a story to give. I defy anyone to read a story like that and then still be like, Cap's just good in the Avengers. He's not a good solo character. I don't care about Cap. It's like, this is the real deal. This is the one and done comic for Cap that you could give anyone who's interested in the character, and or has never, read a solo adventure, or even if they have and have been like, I never really read a solo Cap story that really resonated with me. It's like, give them this.
Absolutely. I mean, this is probably this is always something I wanted to do with you, and maybe this is the beginning of something. But just if you have to boil down to the one issue, is this the one Captain America issue you hand somebody to get them started with the character?
It might be, because you don't need any other. There's no continuity here that you need to keep in mind. You don't. There's none of the. There's none of that like Claremont kind of subplot stuff going on in the 80s, because there's a lot of really great stuff. I mean, in terms of one and done issues, I think you could give them, when Cap runs for president.
Sure.
I think that's another.
Yeah.
But that's another Roger Stern
issue.
Yeah. The thing that kills me about Roger Stern is he's one of the greatest Captain America writers we ever got. And he wrote so little of the character.
Yeah. I mean, less than certainly the last several. He's written less than Mark Waid did during the last couple runs. Less than Ta-Nehisi Coates, for that matter.
Yeah.
Less than any. I'm going back in my head now, trying to think of the last time. But you have to go all the way back to pre-Heroes Reborn, I think.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. You'd have to go back. I'm pretty sure he wrote less than Mike Zack.
Yeah.
And if you counted, because he also edited the book for a bit. If you counted what he edited as well, then you get a beefy kind of run. But in terms of his own writing of the character, it wasn't that much. But this really distills everything there is about the character.
No, I love this issue. It's a great one, and for a long time, fairly cheap to own. Actually, you could find. I mean, if you could find it, I think the problem was short supply, but it wasn't the most expensive one. I think people remember that Frank Miller was doing it, and then that changed things. But it's a great issue. It shows that you don't have to. You don't have to have it's just decompressed into 50 different pieces. You can, this is what One and Done is all about. And for that matter, Marvel Fanfare, there were certainly some clunky stories, but there were some really good ones in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's some of the problems we have here. Is there's a lot of good stories in comics like that, comics like Marvel Presents or Marvel 2-in-1. On DC's end, some of the best Superman or Batman stories were in The Brave and the Bold, DC Comics Presents, and things like that, and they kind of get lost because they weren't part of the main books.
Yeah. A wonderful comic. No, I mean, definitely one to check out. And so like we say, I know it's on Marvel Unlimited. You can find it there.
It's part of the Captain America Epic Collection Society of Serpents, which I believe is either out of print or out of stock. But there's a good chance your local comic. It happened recently, so your local comic shop might still have a copy. It's in the Marvel Universe by Frank Miller omnibus.
Yes,
which has a lot of it has all the stuff that doesn't get talked about as much, like some of the Spectacular Spider-Man work and things like that are in it. But yeah, this is an absolute must read. If you ever were interested in Captain America, even in the slightest, you have to read this.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this before, find a way to get your hands on it. It is definitely, it's definitely an incredible book to pick up. And I was just trying to see if I could get price. The problem is, it can be a tough book to find, but I do see some auctions going on right now where you can get this book relatively cheap. Even with it being Frank Miller, you can get it very reasonably. I'm actually looking at a bid right now that says I could pick it up for $6.50, which can't be right. But anyway, if you have the chance to buy that, definitely get your hands on it. It is a great story, very intense and great panel work. So can't recommend it enough. Thank you, Joe. This is thanks for reminding me about this issue. This is a much better recommendation than the Our Love Is Real comic. So
yeah, no, absolutely, and we'll probably do some more one and dones or two parters and some smaller to digest kind of stories, as well as some larger arcs. I love talking about the whole runs, as well as just these little snippets, like
good to get.
I'm thinking of all sorts of other things, like Action Comics 554.
Yes,
that's a great one. Or there's a lot of little bits in Claremont's run on X-Men that often get overlooked.
That's very
or shorter things. Like I would love at some point talk about I forget if it was 4 or 5 issues. I think it was 4 issues that with Proteus. Because those 4 issues, like, for me, going back and reading a few times, like, that's when it was like, okay, I see where it's going to become this legendary run from here.
And for a long time, or there were some collections where they would always package that up with what would come next. It was part of like they would include those comics. In fact, I remember there was one edition done where they had the Dark Phoenix saga and they put the Proteus saga in front of it, which didn't make complete sense because then they skipped some issues. But it's definitely, there's some things like that. But Joe, thank you very much, and we'll thanks everybody for listening.
Yes, thank you.